would like to welcome you to this coronavirus COVID-19 virtual town hall update being hosted by Ascent Living Communities, owners and operators of Village at Belmar and Pine Grove Crossing. Hosting the call today will be Tom Finley and Susie Finley, both principals of Ascent. This call is for the residents, family members, and associates of our communities. If you are a member of the media, please respect the privacy of our residents, families, and associates and leave the call now. This call is being recorded and will be uploaded to the community websites by this evening. There's a link at the top of each website that will direct you to the COVID-19 communication for each community, and the recording of this call will also be located in that section of the website, along with other pertinent communication from the last few weeks. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hello, this is Tom Finley. Nothing is more important to us than the safety of our residents, their families, and our associates. We know how scary this situation is for all of you, and we thank you for the trust you have placed in us to care for your loved ones. For the coronavirus COVID-19 situation we are currently in, we are following guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, our senior living trade associations, our highly skilled and qualified clinical team, and our medical consultant, Dr. Gagandeep Singh. As local owners and operators of Village at Belmar and Pine Grove Crossing, we want you to know that we have been preparing for the possibility of coronavirus coming to Colorado since January. It is important for all of you to know that we are experts in infectious disease prevention and control. We deal with this on a daily basis, especially with the seasonal flu and possible norovirus outbreaks. And while 3 months ago, no one could have predicted where we are today, we are prepared to keep you, your loved ones, and our associates healthy and safe.
Hello, this is Susie. You have been hearing from us and our team since March 2nd on our plans to address COVID-19, and you will continue to hear from us regularly until we are clear from this unprecedented situation. All of our communication to you on the COVID-19 issue will be posted and archived on the community websites. So please consider the website as an important communication tool for us all during this process. This virus and its repercussions change the way we care for our seniors seemingly on a daily basis. We and our teams are working around the clock to ensure that we are making the best decisions to maintain the health and safety of the approximate 300 residents and 250 associates that live and work at our communities. We want to take the next 90 minutes to expound on the steps we have taken to keep our communities safe and allow for questions from those on the call. If you have questions you would like to ask, please type them into the GoToMeeting chat through the link provided with the meeting invite and direct them to organizers only. Alternatively, you may email them to info@ascentlc.com. That is info, I-N-F-O, at Ascent, A-S-C-E-N-T, L as in Larry, C as in Charlie.com. info@ascentlc.com.
Coronavirus is a very serious virus that poses a significant threat to us all, but particularly to the seniors we serve day in and day out. We have been preparing for a possible COVID-19 event since January of this year. Our actions started by beginning to stockpile infectious disease supplies such as gowns, gloves, hand sanitizer, and masks. These supplies can no longer be purchased from suppliers nor retailers. However, we are in close contact with our trusted suppliers and have been assured that should one of our residents become symptomatic with COVID-19, we will be granted access to the needed supplies. Additionally, we have taken our stockpiled supplies and placed them in climate-controlled storage units outside of the community, equidistant between Village at Belmar and Pine Grove Crossing. By keeping these precious supplies off-site, we have now eliminated the possibility of these supplies being contaminated by the virus and eliminated the possibility of theft, as we have recently heard about from area hospitals. In addition to supplies being kept off-site, we have a supply of non-perishable food set up in an adjacent storage unit should it be needed.
As many of you learned when you made the decision to move into Village at Belmar or Pine Grove Crossing, we place a high priority on quality clinical staffing and coverage within our communities. In addition to our highly trained and qualified health service directors and our home office VP, who is also a registered nurse, last year we made the decision to engage a medical consultant to be a resource to our clinical teams. This is not a standard practice for assisted living communities, but rather a resource we decided was important to offer to our clinical teams in order to more comprehensively serve our resident population. Dr. Singh, MD, is a gerontologist who routinely works with our clinical teams to ensure the health and well-being of our residents. During the last few weeks, we have been in close communication with Dr. Singh, and most recently, that communication has ramped up to multiple times per day. We intend to continue utilizing Dr. Singh as an important resource to guide and inform our decision-making until we see our way through the current situation. We are certain that you are disappointed to not have the regular and immediate access to freely visit Village at Belmar or Pine Grove Crossing, as we have been guided to be on restricted visitation access since March 12th. Then, on March 14th, the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, or CDPHE, issued a directive signed by the governor restricting visitation to skilled nursing, assisted living, and intermediate care facilities around the state to protect healthcare workers and those most vulnerable to the novel coronavirus. It is unclear at this time how long the restricted visitation will last. We will continue to follow the guidance of the CDC and CDPHE regarding visitation to our communities to maintain the health and safety of our residents. Health experts around the world continue to emphasize that social distancing, which means avoiding close contact with other individuals, is absolutely critical in the days and weeks ahead. By limiting this personal contact, people can avoid catching the virus and then passing it on to others. We encourage you to stay in touch with your loved ones using the many different avenues of technology readily available to us today. This includes phone calls, text messaging, and phone or video conference methods such as Skype and FaceTime.
Additionally, our teams are being trained on new technology tomorrow morning called Heart Legacy, which will allow our associates to make short videos of your loved ones and share with you over email or the app. If we do not have your email address, please send it to your executive director and we will have you added for this additional method of communication. As many of you know by now, we made the difficult decision yesterday to close the dining rooms and to suspend group life enrichment programming in assisted living and independent living, as well as minimize close group interaction in memory care. We realize that these are two of the most important components of why many of you chose senior living as an option. But in order to keep our residents safe, we believe this is a necessary action to keep in place for now. We hope you can understand all these steps are being taken out of precaution for your health and well-being. These restrictions will not last forever, but for now, we all have to play a role in keeping our community safe and protected. Our life enrichment teams are working hard to come up with one-on-one type activities to keep our residents engaged and their lives fulfilled. We have scheduled additional training for our life enrichment personnel this week to help with new ideas to keep our residents' minds and bodies moving while the rest of the world is generally at a standstill. Visiting in small groups, which we often see form naturally within communities, is still allowed so long as the residents maintain a safe distance from one another. We cannot do what we do without the unwavering support of our valued associates, and having them remain safe and healthy is of utmost importance. We have been and will continue educating our associates on the proper protocol on how to remain healthy, both inside and outside of their work environment. At the beginning of each work shift, our associates have their temperature taken to ensure that they do not bring an illness into the community. Each associate must also confirm that key questions regarding possible exposure to COVID-19 have not changed since their prior shift.
Our associates are a very loving and caring group who are drawn to senior living as a profession innately. Our care associates provide the support required by many of our residents, requiring hands-on assistance to complete the tasks as required in the plan of care. One of the benefits of senior living is the relationships formed between our care associates and the residents. And while giving a hug, for example, as a form of appreciation or to comfort someone having a bad day is normally acceptable in typical interaction, this type of activity is not appropriate with our social distancing practices currently in place. Additionally, many of our associates have jobs at other senior living communities as well. Our current practice of taking the temperature of each associate and confirming that they are showing no signs of illness before beginning their shift is now a requirement statewide at all senior living communities. As an additional precaution, each associate must confirm that there are no COVID-19 symptomatic nor positive cases at the other communities where they are employed. Many of our associates have school-age children, and schools are now closed for at least the next 2, and in some cases 3 weeks. We are working on a child care solution to assist our associates who now have immediate child care needs so they can continue working their shifts. We have not finalized this plan as of today, but please look to hear from us very soon on a solution to the child care issue.
So that's going to conclude our prepared remarks for today's virtual town hall meeting. And at this time, we're going to begin answering questions from those of you on the call. Again, in order to submit a question through the webinar, please type them into the GoToMeeting chat through that meeting invite link and direct them to organizers only. Alternatively, you can email your questions to info@ascentlc.com. That is info@A Apple, S Sam, C Charlie, E Edward, N Nancy, T Tom, L Larry, C Charlie.com. info@ascent.com. Thanks so much for your patience. We're going to take a minute here and pause to assemble all of the questions, read them, and then get back to you with all of the answers. Okay, so we are getting some great questions. Thank you all, and we're going to get started answering those. We will read off the question that we have received, and we'll be going back and forth providing you with answers. So the first question is, will there be a normal charge for meal delivery? We will not be having any meal delivery charges during this time, and that includes all living environments, assisted living, memory care, as well as our independent living at Village at Belmar only. And at that community, we also have added a breakfast and lunch option for those residents, which was not something that we normally provided, to prohibit them from feeling the need to go out and to get food.
Okay, next question. Can care packages containing food or toilet paper be left by family at the community to be delivered to a specific resident? And the answer to that is yes. And so what we have installed at the vestibule at the main entrance of Village at Belmar and Pine Grove Crossing is a table, and on that table we have sticky notes and pens where you can write the name of the resident where the care package should be delivered. If it's a food item that's perishable, would certainly make sure to have that delivered during hours where the concierge is there, and make sure the concierge, you can wave at them and they can come over and get the package if it's food that's perishable. Otherwise, mark the item clearly with the name of the resident, and place it in the vestibule, and we will be regularly checking the vestibule and delivering those items immediately.
Next question is, how are outside hospice workers accessing our loved ones during this time? So that would be considered a special circumstance visitation to allow for those partners of ours to come in. They would be answering the same questionnaire. They would be having their temperature taken, and they also would be wearing some forms of personal protection equipment, including masks, during their visit.
Next question. Will residents in assisted living be permitted to walk in the hallway for exercise? And the answer to this is absolutely. We'll be doing walking through both inside the community throughout the hallways, and also on nice days like today, we will be able to take residents outside in very small groups and walk around on the outside as well.
Next question. Do the questionnaires that employees must answer ask whether the employee is living with someone who may have COVID-19 or the flu? The answer is yes, absolutely. The way the question actually reads is, has anyone in your household experienced signs or symptoms of respiratory infection, fever, cough, shortness of breath, sore throat, or other flu-like symptoms in the last 14 days?
Next question. What do the one-on-one activities look like? How often will residents have activities per week? This is currently an evolving situation, and Susie and I were at Village at Belmar earlier today and ran into Jennifer, the Assisted Living Life Enrichment Director, and we already have carts that are formed that have activities that can be done. I know that model cars have been ordered for some of the gentlemen who may like to put some of those together. We had sort of one-on-one activities with clay for modeling. We have some adult coloring books, which is actually a neat way to pass the time. And additionally, I want to add that we have registered our life enrichment personnel for a training to occur this Wednesday, which is really targeted at how to deliver, additional ideas for these one-on-one type activities. So we'll be using our own creative solutions for now, and we have more solutions that are coming our way later this week through this additional training.
Next question. My father is very routine-based and eats at the same time every day. Is there any way to try and guarantee that he can continue his routine? Absolutely. That is certainly our goal, and what we've done is we have our caregivers, our resident assistants, as the ones who are delivering those meal trays, and we're doing that for a variety of reasons. One, because they do know the patterns and the routines of our residents and what their preferences are, and we also are trying to limit any crossing over between various departments as well. So yes, our goal would be to continue to maintain all of our residents' routines, preferences, just like on a normal day of business.
Next question. For memory care, do you have a means for us to communicate with them? And the answer is yes. Right now, today, it's I think great means of communicating are telephone and Skype or FaceTime for iOS users. And I want to take a moment to explain a little bit about Heart Legacy. This is a new software that we signed up for on Friday. We've been working all weekend to get it set up, and our staff is being trained on it tomorrow morning. Heart Legacy has a network, a private network for each family. Each family will be able to deliver short videos to their loved one in this private network, and then the care associates and our life enrichment personnel will be able to take short videos of the resident and return them back to the family members. You can invite whoever you want to be in the family network, and you can deliver these messages to your loved one. I expect it might be Tuesday afternoon before this is fully rolled out, but we've been working hard all weekend to get this set up and are a priority for Heart Legacy to get this set up. We will also post some information about how to sign up and use Heart Legacy on our website probably Tuesday afternoon. So while this is not available to use today, please know that we are working hard on this very unique and a solution we think will be helpful to all of you during this time.
Next question. What is the protocol for handling a medical situation if a resident needs to go to the hospital? What will communication with families look like, and what will happen when the resident returns? So the protocol for handling an emergent situation is the same as it absolutely always is. We would call 911 if required. We're communicating with resident physicians regularly. So if it's a 911 situation, like a hospitalization would be, our West Metro and our South Metro partners at the respective communities, they will be coming in just as always. They are all prepared as they are responding to calls like this throughout the city and the state. Communication with families will look just like it always would, with us calling the primary responsible party, letting them know what's happening. As far as when while they're in the hospital, then that would be the discretion of the hospital based on the situation at hand on visitation. Likely, if it is a standard reason that they are there, I think visitation may be restricted in that situation as well, and that is coming from CMS guidelines as well as the governor. As far as when the resident returns, it really just depends on what the signs and symptoms were that sent them out, who they were exposed to in the hospital. We would then get guidance, of course, from our medical consultant, and they may need to be quarantined for 14 days upon return. That would be something that would be decided with that team.
Next question. Have any of your residents or staff tested positive for COVID-19? And the answer to that question is no. Next question. Will there be staff shortages with the closing of universities? And this is an interesting one because we have been living in a sub 3% unemployment environment for quite some time. With everything that's happened over the last 4 or 5 days, I suspect that the true unemployment rate right now is much higher than that. We have been reaching out looking for solutions on the child care, and interestingly enough, we have had quite a number of teachers who are now looking for work that have offered to help. So I suspect that any staff shortages from our existing staff could be backfilled with those who now suddenly do not have employment.
Okay, next question, and there's actually 3 that are very similar, so I'm going to read all 3 and then answer them. So the first part is, are there plans to restrict residents to their suites and apartments, or is that only if conditions worsen? Can residents leave rooms on their own? Can residents go outside for walks alone or with a staff member? So for the first one, there are no plans at this time because we do not have any symptomatic residents or any communicable type diseases in the community that would restrict this. If we did have a situation, then the affected resident would be isolated, quarantined to their individual suite, which is one of the great benefits of us having private suites throughout both of our communities. Can residents leave rooms on their own? Yes, the answer is, of course, right now we are letting residents, we want them to get out and exercise and move their bodies. And just today, when we were at Village of Belmar all morning, there were residents out and about. The staff are encouraging them to maintain the social distancing, the 6 feet, doing reminders on that. But we certainly want them to be able to get out, and they're being reminded of what this all looks like right now so that they know that they can do that. And you please remind them as you communicate with them. And then the question about going outside for walks, yes, and I think we answered that a little bit earlier, but I'll just say again, we want them to get fresh air. We're being blessed with good weather right now, which is a good thing, and it may be a good thing even with this virus. And so we certainly want residents to go outside. Our assisted living residents, for the most part, based on assessment, are safe if some of them could do that on their own. We have staff members who would be glad to accompany them. And in memory care as well, we would be taking them on walks.
Next question. Will residents who need assistance with showers be supported for regular showers during this time? And the answer is absolutely. Nothing has changed at this moment with our staffing plans, so all care plans are being executed as they should be, and nothing has changed at that level.
Next question, what is our opinion of having outside caregivers provide care? The answer to that is typically outside caregivers are interacting at multiple communities, multiple homes versus a one-on-one situation. So as much as possible, we want that to fall under the restriction. If it is a medical necessity for a resident and a part of their plan of care, then that would be submitted as a special circumstance visit, and we would review that with the individual.
Next question. Will you let us know if a resident has symptoms or is diagnosed? And the answer is yes, we will let you know. We'll be in communication immediately, as we have been since this situation began.
Next question, and this is two questions similar, so I'm going to read both. How much time will you be spending with memory care? Are they still able to go to the courtyard? And how much interaction can my loved ones expect on a daily basis? So for part one of that question, we have all of our staff that are in place, as well as we have additional support. So there's been lots of one-on-one type of activities happening. The life enrichment team is going to be, as Tom mentioned earlier, doing additional training so that we can really have very quality one-on-one visits, keeping residents engaged, keeping them connected to all of you. Absolutely, they are still able to go to both courtyards and memory care. We want them to enjoy the fresh air and be able to be outside. And when we were there today, we were reminding the associates about that. And how much interaction can my loved one expect on a daily basis? And I think we've covered this a little, but I'll just say again that this is a huge focus, is for our associates to be visiting continuously, going in and out of suites. And now that they're delivering meals, they're actually laying eyes better one-on-one with all of our residents. In addition, our independent living residents, who we typically don't provide direct oversight for besides their morning check-in, we're doing additional visits for them too, to ensure that we don't have symptomatic residents who may not be communicating that with us, as well as if they have needs that we need to run out errands for them for.
Next question. Are additional health professional staff being hired since the director of health recently left? And I'm assuming this is a question regarding Village of Belmar. And the answer to that question is yes. We have a new health services director. Her name is Sarah Stevenson, and she started last week.
Okay, next question. This is a tough one. If I decide to remove my mother from Pine Grove Crossing to care for her at home until the crisis is over, can I enter Pine Grove Crossing to pack her up? If not, how will she get packed since she can't herself? My best answer to that question is we are going to encourage all of our families, as scary as all of this is, that we have all of the staff, all of the supplies, and all of the care that we can provide for our residents. And while some may think that it is safer at home, we really are providing them with an environment that we feel like we can keep them safe in. We would respect that decision if someone wanted to do it, and certainly anticipated that that question would come up. If someone did decide to do that, we could certainly get our staff to help prepare their belongings and be able to help support and facilitate that for you so that your mom would have everything that she needs while you take her home. What we do want to communicate is that sometimes taking someone home seems easier than what it is in reality. And we've talked about the possibilities of this. So if a family member takes a resident home for 3-4 nights a week, if you then say, you know, this isn't quite what I thought it would be and want to bring them back, we likely would be looking at a 14-day quarantine situation, just because we don't know what they would have been exposed to in their compromised situation.
Next question. What are the delivery time windows for each meal? I'm going to answer this in a two-part manner. Independent Living at Village of Belmar received a detailed memorandum yesterday that detailed out how meal delivery will begin starting tomorrow. So I would encourage you to reference that memorandum. If you did not receive it or don't have it at your fingertips, you can see it on our website, villageatbelmar.com. The very top of that website, of each website, has a link to the COVID-19 page, and all of our communication is archived on the sidebar of that website. Again, that's very detailed on the ordering procedures, since that 3 meal a day package is not part of the independent living for Village of Belmar. I'll now shift over to assisted living at both Village of Belmar and Pine Grove Crossing. Meal delivery for assisted living will take place during normal meal times. So the normal breakfast time, the normal lunch time, the normal dinner time, will be coming and delivering meals to the residents in their suites, and the physical delivery of the meals will occur by one of our care associates. Last part would be memory care. We are doing memory care meal times we're trying to do 2 staged times for each meal, and we're trying to space out the memory care residents where there's one resident at each table. So I guess the answer to that question is threefold. Independent living, please reference the memorandum. Memory care, 2 different seatings for each meal, 1 resident per table. Assisted living, normal meal delivery time delivered to their apartment.
Next question. I've heard a rumor that Pine Grove Crossing might quarantine some of its employees in the building so they won't be coming and going. Is this correct? If so, when would it happen, and how many employees would be kept there at all times? The answer is that we have developed emergency task forces at both of the communities, and we've comprised associates who have told us that they are willing to stay should the need arise for them to do that. We've purchased beds in order to set up spaces for them to do that. It is not something that we would mandate, nor do we believe the CDC or CDPHE would mandate, but it's something that some of our associates have offered to do, and we would then help support them and take advantage of that. But this is not something that would be a requirement.
Next question. Would you encourage IL residents at Village of Belmar to stay inside their flats? You know, at this time, you're welcome and free to go outside and take a walk. We are strongly discouraging independent living residents from going out to the grocery store, from using the driver that I know many of you use to take you to events. We just think it's best at this time to stay in your flat. If you go outside and are in small groups, please, we ask you to please maintain social distancing at 6 feet per person to make sure we all stay safe.
Next question, how are you ensuring that staff who leave the building and come back each day are safe to be around residents? The best answer for that is, again, following the guidelines that are mandated to us right now by doing the questionnaire in full with each associate when they start their shift, by taking their temperature when they start their shift, and by education on hand washing and social distancing. And again, we're talking about our healthcare associates who are there to care for our residents, and they know the severity of this situation, and of course asking them to be very careful.
Next question, do you have staff shortages now? At this time, we're fairly well staffed, but again, I'll take this moment to reiterate, you know, with everything that's happened in the last 3 or 4 days, we do anticipate that there will be more people in the job market than we have seen in quite some time. So we do not have staff shortages now. We will be continuing to interview for positions that may be open, but the answer to that question now is no.
Next question. Do you have a plan for having residents or staff being tested quickly if they present with symptoms? It seems that tests are difficult to access in the Denver area. The answer to that is that for the general public, I believe that that is certainly true based on everything that we've seen in the news. If we have a suspected resident, a symptomatic resident or associate, because of the nature of our business, we then contact the CDC and CDPHE, and they immediately give us the direction as well as the testing kits so that we can test our residents or our associates. If it was a resident, they would immediately be put into an isolation situation with only associates caring for symptomatic residents and no other residents at that time.
Next question, can residents pass mail and bills back to family who are responsible for them? So yes, if you are a resident and your family are responsible for your bills and they're coming to you at the community, please accumulate them, bring them down to the concierge, and contact your family member who's responsible for them. The concierge can hold them at the front desk, and when your family member comes to pick them up, they can call the main number, identify themselves, and let them know why they're there, and the bills and mail can get distributed to your family members in that way.
Next question. Can a staff member bring my mom outside so she can say hi from a distance? And this one is sort of a heartbreaker for me to read and to answer because I know how tough this is for all of you. The best answer I can give is that could we accommodate that? Of course, in a tough situation where someone's having a really tough time, whether it be the daughter or the mom. But as far as a regular rule, if we start accommodating that regularly, it's going to take our associates time to try to do that for all of you, and it's going to completely take them away from what they need to be doing on the floors, giving that one-on-one love and attention to our other residents.
Next question, is Heart Legacy different than It's Never Too Late? Yes, it's completely different. It's a new technology that, again, we signed up for on Friday, and it does have the private family portal network that we mentioned, so you will be able to send videos, and our associates can work within the system and send videos back and forth to one another, and again, in a private network that can be shared with many family members at one time.
Next question, are there any issues getting medications at this time? The answer is no, we have not run into any issues. We have our partner pharmacies who we communicate with regularly, and they have assured us that they're there to support us. Additionally, as we've seen in some other countries where they've done complete shutdowns, what I understand to still be open are banks, supermarkets, and pharmacies. And so for those of you who pick up medications for your loved ones, certainly you should still be able to do that and drop them off as you have been. Certainly, if any of you want to switch over to our pharmacy who delivers and not be doing that during this time, we could certainly help facilitate that for you.
Next question, will resident physicians still be allowed to come in regularly? And the answer to that is absolutely. All health professionals are welcome to the community. They will undergo the same screening process that anyone goes whenever they enter into the building, but our physicians, any hospice workers, at this time therapy, still allowed in the building and will come through as anyone else who is allowed at this time.
Next question, do your associates have coverage in case they become sick so they don't feel like they have to keep working if they are sick? The answer is that if they are showing any signs of sickness per the questionnaire, they cannot be at work and they need to go home. There are certainly new interventions that have been put in place by the governor for them to be protected, specifically if they were to be diagnosed with COVID-19 to have paid protection. As far as the coverage that's in place at the community, we have, as Tom mentioned, we've had many people who have stepped up, even interested in taking on new positions. We also have other departments who we have not been having interact with our clinical team, so that if our clinical team or a group of them did become ill, it may be that servers begin doing care after being trained, and that's something that we're certainly preparing for.
Next question, can any staff members in memory care use Skype? And I can tell you, I don't know the exact answer to that question, but we can certainly work on getting them trained on using Skype. We did purchase a few iPads this afternoon. We're going to pick up for each community. We may pick up a couple more, in fact, but we'll be providing additional tools for all of the team members to use so they can communicate digitally with the family members. And
I actually created a Skype account earlier today so that once we get those iPads, besides the Heart Legacy, we will have Skype loaded on there, as well as we'll be able to do FaceTime from them. Next question, how are you addressing emotional needs, depression, anxiety in my mom? The answer is that in memory care. So really this community-wide, I mean, certainly memory care as well. We are doing so much more one-on-one interaction than we really ever have before based on the current situation and the in and out of resident suites and the attention that's being able to be placed. So we're certainly watching for that. Sometimes the FaceTiming and Skype, especially in memory care, can be confusing if it's not a typical way that communication happens, but the associates would be there and be able to be at the resident side to help them and explain to them what is happening. And we certainly encourage family members to still be doing that. And just like anything else that we communicate with you, we would be letting you know of that concern, and we may be calling and saying that we have suggestions on things that we could do to help mom or dad in that situation.
Next question. My father doesn't have a phone in his suite. If the need arises due to quarantine, could I get a phone, disposable or otherwise, provided to him? And the answer is yes. If you'd like to bring a phone for your loved one to use, you can absolutely do that. Set up the account, bring it, drop it off. I know there are, you can buy a preloaded phone that has a certain number of minutes on it that are fairly inexpensive. Those can be dropped off and they will be delivered to his suite. Otherwise, as we've mentioned, there's other forms of communication. We've been purchasing the additional iPads that can be used. So we will have technologies that our associates can use to help with that communication. If there's a preferred way for you to communicate, be sure to let us know.
Next question, how do the residents choose their meals? Do they choose them the day before or earlier that day? The answer is that this system is a little bit different in each living environment. However, those decisions are all being made same day. So first thing in the morning for breakfast and so on and so forth for lunch and dinner. What we've always learned from our past is that you make a decision the day before, and whether you're not in the mood for it the next day or you maybe just forgot what you ordered, that was never successful. And so we are taking same day orders and then able to process them in our culinary department. So next question, is there anything that family members can do to assist the Pine Grove Crossing staff during this situation? So thank you to whoever sent that in. It's much appreciated. I know the team will appreciate that. Honestly, I think the understanding and the support from all of you and the love and the messages that we've been getting from all of you goes so far, I can't even tell you. I mean, certainly if we know we can't take individual gifts. If you wanted to send in a cookie tray or a brownie tray or some snacks for the staff or donuts in the morning, they would probably love that. It is not necessary, but that would be a nice gesture that you could do if you really wanted to do something. And just a clarification, actually, I just got some clarification that for some of the living environments, we are doing just breakfast the day before because it is so early that those residents would have to make that decision. So that's being done, and it's being done by their care staff, so they know them and they know their preferences, and they can also help guide them on the ordering. So I apologize for any confusion there.
Okay, we don't have any more questions at the moment, but we're going to pause for a minute, and if you have any more questions, please submit them because we want to make sure we answer everyone's questions. So for the moment, we're going to go on pause.
We just want to share some of the very positive and thoughtful comments that some of you are sending in because it does mean a lot to us. Here's one. It says, thank you for all of your work to keep our dads safe. Outstanding job, Susie and Tom. Thanks for making yourself available to keep us all informed. God bless and good luck. This says, it's not a question, but thank you for your transparency and attention to detail in your care of our loved ones. And we appreciate those comments. We will continue to be as transparent as we can and give you as much information round the clock as we are able to. Here's another. It says, thank you for being so organized and caring. You are doing a wonderful job. And we are getting some more questions, so Susie and Tom will be back to answer those in just a minute.
So one question that just came through, who has the ultimate authority as to when visitations will be reopened? So for that, we would be following guidance from CDC and CDPHE, the agencies that we've been referencing, and as much as we've been getting daily, if not multiple times a day, communication on changes and new mandates that are coming to the converse, we certainly will be looking forward to the day when we get the communication from them that this can all be lifted. And in many ways, I think about just the number of days that have gone by and how changed this is for all of our habits, and wonder, you know, what it's going to look like 3 months from now. Will I be hugging the stranger that I meet? And it's certainly, we're going to be looking forward to that day, no doubt.
We're also getting some people reminding everyone to access the websites for both communities because we will be posting updates there frequently. So please do check that as much as you can. And here's another really thoughtful comment. Great meeting, Susie and Tom. Tough topic. Blessings for you to stay strong and healthy yourselves. And that sense of community is really helping to get everyone here through this very challenging situation. But we appreciate all those very thoughtful and uplifting and encouraging things that you're saying. We do have another question coming in here. Just one moment.
Sorry, I was trying to do it erase it.
I can't even get toilet paper myself.
Okay, next question that we just got is, can you help supply toilet paper to Dad? I'm having trouble getting it for myself. And we certainly, I think we're all in the same situation out here in the general public, knowing what's on the shelves and what's not on the shelves right now. We happen to have suppliers that we're still able to get our supplies from, and we certainly just need to know who that individual would be. So if you wanted to, you know, send us separately who that is. If it's not a resident that we typically supply toilet paper for, we could certainly help. Most of our residents, we do supply it. But we do have our suppliers that can still do that. And we've even talked about if we need to support our staff in that situation. So one question we just got, and this is from an independent living resident. So for those of you who are part of the Pine Grove Crossing family, our independent living at Village at Belmar is a detached community. It's not part of our main building. And so the question is, our daughter has been delivering some supplies to us. She's been coming up to our flat door, not inside. Should she leave it outside the building door? The answer is that our independent living residents have really, as you know, been cut off from the main building. We've encouraged you not to go out into the public, so this is good. I'm glad to see that you're having your family members deliver. We've offered to do errands for all of you at no charge. I would say that as long as your daughter's not compromised, you're not compromised, she's not bringing small children, and you're keeping social distancing 6 feet in place, that's fine. We certainly, it's a much different situation in the main building with our assisted living and memory care residents. So we haven't had any other questions come through. We did allow for more time, but this email that we gave you is an active email and will remain active, and we certainly haven't been putting our phone down 24/7 for a while now. So you're welcome to continue asking questions through this email, and we could certainly answer them for you. But I'll just give it another minute or so or a couple seconds and see, but we're not seeming to have anything else coming through right now. Okay, so one last request that we had was the email one more time, which is info, I-N-F-O, at Ascent, A-S-C-E-N-T, L as in Larry, C as in Charlie, .com, AscentLC.com. We just want to thank all of you for your time today and listening to our updates. Hopefully the frequently asked questions that we put out yesterday, they're all on our websites and we've sent them out to you. Hopefully that was helpful information as well. If you feel like you missed something or weren't able to log on to the full call today, again, the recording will be uploaded just as soon as we can pull it together, and that will be uploaded to our websites as well. But again, thank you all. Thank you for your understanding, and thank you for the love that you give to our staff and to all of your loved ones. We're going to conclude at this time. Thank you.